Good morning everyone, welcome back to another week and another video here at Barum Engines. So guys, it's actually the afternoon, towards the end of the day, believe it or not. We've had some footage from Isaac showing a bit about around the workshop, what he's been doing today. But I've been out today. And I've actually been out to pick the BMW up, guys, which is great news. We've got that back, and that is over Stuart's now. So look out for tomorrow's video in the second channel. I'll put a link down in the description below to our channel. So look out for that tomorrow, guys. Similar sort of time. And we'll show you what Mikey's done. All his hard work there. So, yeah, so what's Isaac been doing today? He's been balancing the crankshaft for the Cosworth. He's been over doing the Subaru heads, and he's currently doing his own Subaru head, so more to come from his engine. But yeah, Mondays, guys, always the most difficult day for me to do a video, and the reason is because usually if I do a video on a Wednesday and a Friday, I sort of do it over the Tuesday and the Wednesday and the Thursday and the Friday, but obviously Monday, I've just got the Monday to do it, and today, with having gone and picked the BMW up, I've had loads of paperwork to do, other stuff to do, parts to order, emails to reply to. Just not enough hours in the day for me, to be honest with you guys. But yeah, let's get out there and see what Isaac's been up to.
Right, so Monday morning, Lee's just gone out with the van to go and get something. I'm sure you can all guess what that is. But at the minute, I'm balancing a crank for this Cosy. It's a brand new crank. I think it turned up on Friday, so I'll take you around and show you that in a minute. So we got it up here. I had a bit of an issue with the bolt hole inside of this, the front pulley bolt hole. It's drilled a little bit off center, which will be fine for clamping the front pulley down. It won't cause any issues in that sense, but in terms of balancing the crank, obviously we drive the cranks off of the front pulley thread, so it's not ideal that that's off center, because it means that this driver, which would sit in there, is off center and it's wobbling everything around. So what I've done instead is I've put this alternative driver on. It's got some grub screws in there and in the other side there. And what this does is it drives it off of the keyway, off the key. And that seems to work really well. It's stayed really central. You see there, it's not really like flapping around or anything. So I've solved that problem. But yeah, as I say, it'll be fine for in the car because it's only got a bolt, clamped down that front pulley. So now I'm just gonna get this flywheel on. It's got a bit of clutch dust on there, but we'll get that cleaned off. So I'll get that on and balance that. I've also been doing the clearances on the Subaru heads, the EJ25. So what we do is we put the cams and the buckets in there, no springs, and then what we can do is push the valve up the guide, hold it there, just keep our hand over it with a bit of force on there, and then we can take the clearance, and then we can quite easily whip it out. And either, you can see on some of these here, you can see I've taken a bit off the face there. And on other ones, this one maybe, no. On one or two of them, yeah, this one, you can see I've taken material off the top there. About 2 thou, I think I took off of that one. But yeah, that's how we do that, that's how we get our clearances. And it just means that we aren't forever taking the head apart. And also it's cheaper in the sense that you don't have to buy any shims. Obviously there's a limit to it. You can't go taking loads off the top of those valves or off of the face, but as long as they're within sort of 5 or 6 thou of where they need to be, then you're all right and you can do it that way. So yeah, we take all the clearances first, make sure we're going to be able to do it, and then we crack on and get that done.
So guys, as Isaac said, we have managed to get the new crank for this Cosworth here. So you can see the crank is in. Now, bit of a nightmare with parts at the minute, guys. Every engine that I seem to have in, we have at least one part on back order. So this crankshaft here we ordered just before Christmas, and I thought, they said estimated time of delivery was beginning of January. I thought absolutely perfect. By the time we get the workshop sort of done, that crank will turn up. I can crack right on with that because Elliot wanted this engine in a little bit of a rush. So ordered the crank, got to the middle of January, still hadn't arrived. They changed the date then to the end of January, again then to the end of February. And when I spoke to them about a week ago, they've changed it now to, I think it was March the 7th or something like that. And I said, well, look, we'll keep that crank on order. It's annoying because the manufacturer of crank that we've ordered, the new crank, they've been really good. I've ordered a couple of them before and they turn up on time, but there must be a high demand for them at the moment because, as you all know, as anyone in the Cosy game knows, parts for these are becoming few and far between, and if you can get whatever, it's very expensive, and a crankshaft is one of them. So unfortunately, this engine here, Elliot's engine, we needed a new block, which he managed to get off Liam Duran. So we've had to have a new crankshaft. We've managed to salvage the rods, which are all balanced and sized, etc. Now this crank, I've managed to buy another brand new one from someone who I've sort of begged and pleaded with. They managed to sell me this one, and when I get the other one, I can stick that one on the shelf. And they've done me this one for the similar sort of money. But these cranks now are going for probably £600–700 more than what we've paid. And you'll probably find in the near future they'll be even dearer than that. I mean, the equivalent of Arrow crank is, what, £3,500–4,000 quid. People are asking between 1,500 and 2 grand for a second-hand original crank, which is absolutely absurd. And I did manage to speak to a couple of my Cosy guys in the know who have got a couple, and yeah, they wanted near enough 2 grand, and that's what they're getting for them. So yeah, bit of a nightmare, guys, but I've managed to get this one now, give Elliot the good news, and it's basically Meccano. So the head's all back together, as you can see. I just had it sort of sitting on there. I put the crank in, I've plastic gauged this crank. Now when John measured it, this crank was about half a thou down on what really middle of the road should be, so it was on the lower end, but I've plastic gauged it, and obviously the housings in the mains are good because this is about 2¼ inch on the plastic gauge, and it's about a 2¼ inch journal, so that's ideal. I have just got to plastic gauge the big ends. What I've done now, I've got the crank in and torqued up. You can see that's turns absolutely lovely and freely, and obviously Isaac's balanced that. He did explain to you about the thread in the end of the crank. We've had that quite a lot on various things where it's just slightly off centre. Doesn't make a blind bit of difference to the run-in or to bolting the front pulley on, but because our driver goes off the centre, it's got to be pretty good. So if we have that, we just put a driver that goes on the outside there, not a problem. But the journal, as I say, the journal's good. The balance on the crank was really good. Obviously, we had to face the flywheel. That was quite a bit out. So all balanced now, all done. Next thing, I've done the dummy build with it on TDC, no rings, stuck a piston down the hole, and I've had to take 0.5 mil off the top of these pistons. So just goes to show it's had, you know, probably about 10 or so thou off the top of the block face. But got my own pockets in, took the 20 thou off the top now, that's all good. Gapped all the rings. So tomorrow, which will be Tuesday, guys, I'm going to spend all day, hopefully, if I'm not disturbed, getting this one back together, and then Elliot can have this back towards the end of the week. Absolutely brilliant. In the cabinet, we've got a few bits here. So that's his sump, which is all cleaned up. That's his box of old bits. We've just got the auxiliary shaft pulley there, the baffle for the sump, a few bits and bobs. This, the new block, this with a 200 block here, we've got this lug, which could have created a problem if we were running a T4 turbo. So at one point, this engine must have been running a T4, although Elliot is going to be running a T34, so we don't need it. But it did have this drop bracket on for an alternator. And what that does is brings the alternator bracket down about 1 inch to make room for the big hefty T4 turbo. So we don't need that, fortunately. So I've just rang Elliot today and said we don't need to hack that lug off. So he's happy to keep that there. But yeah, apart from that, guys, that is the Cosy well on its way. This one here, I'm still in the process of stripping. But as I say, today I haven't been able to go any further. But that is going to be next on the list as soon as this one's done this week. We've got all the bits for the Subaru. So Mark has been in touch with me via email. He's really happy with it. He said he's even got his missus looking at the videos, which is great news. Always glad to get them involved. So all the Victor Rhines bits we've bought. Victor Rhines, as we all know, I use on everything. All the Cosys, fantastic stuff. And they even make some genuine stuff as well. So we've got those. I've got to have a word. I'm going to ring Mark tomorrow and have a word with him on the head gaskets, see whether he's happy to use the head gaskets. If not, I'll have to order some competition ones. King race bearings. Obviously, I'm going to be checking the sizes before I unpack these, although I've never had any problems with them before, except for the 2 bloody sets for the Fiat. I am going to be checking those. So, set of rings to obviously go on there. Now, these rings, I don't know whether I told you in a previous video, these are a sort of custom Marla piston, but it's a very old design ring layout, so at least 15 years old. But Mar managed to find a set on the shelf at 99.5, so that is fantastic. That's the standard bore size because this thing's had liners, obviously. So apart from that, that is just Meccano really. Isaac's almost finished doing the cylinder heads, as he was showing you earlier. So we can get this one built, hopefully, by sort of this time next week, all done. That is what I'm hoping, but you know what it's like, guys, I keep getting disturbed. But yeah, that is all there is to report, really, at the moment. So as I say, bit of a strange one, guys. I've had to do this video all at the end of the day, been very busy. Can't wait to show you the BMW in the second channel. So as I say, look out for that tomorrow. But thanks ever so much, and we will see you on Wednesday's video. You take care. Cheers, guys.